Hi, welcome to Todd's Tips. I'm Todd Barsness, a full-time voiceover talent, and Todd's Tips is a feature of VO Marketing Pro. Now, if you'd like more information about VO Marketing Pro or anything else related to voiceover, just visit our Facebook page, website, or contact us via email. The links are located here. We're talking about that bottom rung on the building blocks, the foundation. Today we're talking about who you're going to listen to. And my title is, in these do's and don'ts, is I don't like people who present their strong opinions, but who forget the excluded middle position. I'll read that again. I don't like people who present their strong opinions, but who forget the excluded middle position. Now, I'm generally a pretty agreeable person, a pretty nice person. I don't really like conflict. I kind of like my world and I just live in it. And I'm not trying to harangue coaches all the time, be aggressive toward them and lecture them. But this happens a lot. It happens in love, it happens in religion, it happens in politics, and yes, it happens in voiceover, the arguing against the excluded middle. I recently heard a well-known VO coach talk about the fallacy of auditions being a numbers game. He was going to speak against that idea. His point was to tear down the viewpoint that people can get better in voiceover by doing lots of auditions. Now, he rightly pointed out that doing things over and over and over again in a poor way won't change the result. You'll just keep pumping out bad auditions.
Fair.
Yeah,
That's
very fair. Good point. You must have feedback, and you can't get that from auditions, only from a reputable coach. Notice he will define a reputable coach, who that is, and of course, he is a reputable coach. Anyway, he provides a very effective strategy. Argue against the excluded middle. There are only two options, he says, basically. That's his argument. One, do tons of auditions poorly and be garbage at voiceover. That's one option. Or get coaching from him and others, reputable coaches he approves of, and become successful in your auditioning and in your voiceover career. You see, the excluded
either bad
middle,
or you're not.
Right. So, but there is an excluded middle. Get coaching and do lots of auditions. That's one option. Or here's another one. How about this one? Don't get formal coaching, like I did or didn't. Learn and grow in your craft as you work and make money hand over fist. And by the way, I'm not the only one that has done this. There are other people I know. I don't know how many of there are of us who have more earned while you learned. I don't know how many. You're doing that, and you're getting coaching too, because you're watching me and we're talking all the time. And I got coaching. I just didn't pay for it. I watched people. I listened to their free videos for the most part, and I just learned as I earned, or earned while I learned.
That too.
Yeah. So here are a few other arguments you may hear that leave out the excluded middle. A USB mic equals bad sound, low budgets, but an excellent, expensive mic equals good sound and being a pro. You're still on a USB mic, aren't you?
That I am.
And he's almost into the top 24%. Now, I like microphones, and I think it's important to get good microphones. And you've got one, and you're going to employ it pretty soon. But nevertheless, you can still make money doing it.
I've never had a a client say, "Are you using a USB mic?" Never had that.
Yep. You have a quiet space.
I can tell you've got a USB mic.
Yep.
Nobody's ever said that.
You have a quiet space. You had a hobo fort with moving blankets, and you have found a quiet space, and you had a USB mic. Again, I'm not telling you do all of your voiceover with USB mics. That's not my point. It's just be careful when you hear people like this, when they argue and say, you're a pro if you use pro equipment, you're an amateur if you use a USB mic. Just be careful.
It's still professional equipment.
That's their opinion. And you just have to be careful of that. Here's another one. You are either a pro VO talent or you work on Fiverr and Upwork. That's arguing against the excluded middle. I consider myself a pro voiceover talent. I work on Fiverr and Upwork. How about this? You must charge industry standard rates, an arbitrary rate guide still, because there's no, the VO gods never sent down a rate guide. So
The rate commandments.
the rate commandments. And so it's arbitrary. It might be a lot of people agreeing, fine. So you have to charge industry standards, or you aren't a pro VO talent. See the missing excluded middle? You either constantly chase work, in other words, you go after work, you do direct marketing, you go on platforms and stuff, or you create content and you do videos and you do a website that people will come to. You have people come to you. It's just one or the other. Well, no, it can be both. It can be a combination of both. You do things according to the standard operating procedures of the in-group, the cool kids in voiceover, or you are a chucklehead who hurts the VO industry. See, just two sides of things, always arguing against the excluded middle. You see the pattern? Provide only two options and make the opposing option appear ridiculous. This same VO coach I mentioned earlier recently said this: the people who tend to complain and blame the most have usually failed to make a significant investment in their career. They operate in the bargain basement of the industry, making bottom dollars, which helps them on places like Fiverr. I have very little sympathy for their laments. You're either an amateur or you're a pro. See him providing the no middle group for people like you and maybe me, certainly me, and probably you. I think I'm a pro, yet I'm on Fiverr and I do work for lower rates sometimes. See, coaches like these continue to bellyache about how the VO industry is divided and needs to come together, and yet they employ these tactics that continue to disparage lots of pro voiceover talents like me. And so I just hear that and I have to answer that. Maybe I don't have to answer it in front of the camera. Maybe I should just leave it well enough alone. But I think that that's the transparency, and then not holding people to the standard of having this opinion being so strong without representing anything on the other side. It's something that after 14 years, I've just had to come out and talk about. So I hope you put up with that. Again, I'm not saying I'm completely right. I don't think I have everything right. Obviously, I'm still learning. But I think I just want you to be careful who you're listening to. That's the bottom foundational thing in my book of the 7 building blocks of VO success. Who will I listen to? You have to choose that.
Thanks a lot for joining me for Todd's Tips. And if you'd like more information about VO Marketing Pro or anything else related to VO, the links are listed here.